The silence of the heart. In the heart of a forgotten land, nestled among the crooked trees and fog-shrouded hills, there was a village so small that it seemed lost in time. No one knew how it had come to be, and no one questioned its existence. Life moved slowly there, the air thick with a sense of mystery that had lingered for centuries. Few travelers passed through, for the road leading to the village was narrow, twisted, and barely visible. Yet those who found themselves there spoke of a strange energy that hummed in the air, an energy that tugged at the soul. At the edge of this village, just before the forest began to swallow the horizon, there lived a man named Aiden. Aiden was not like the others. He was tall, with a face that seemed to carry the weight of ages, eyes that had seen things no one should ever see. His hair was long, a silvery gray that caught the light of the moon in strange ways, and his hands, though calloused, were gentle, like the hands of a healer. Yet there was something more, something that set him apart from the rest of the village. Aiden never spoke. Not once, not in all the years he had lived there. He was a man of silence, and his silence carried a weight that could not be measured. The villagers, accustomed to the bustle of daily life, found his silence both intriguing and unsettling. They would often come to him, seeking answers to their deepest questions, hoping for some insight into the mysteries that clouded their hearts. But Aiden, sitting on his porch or under the ancient oak tree that stood tall in his yard, would only listen. His gaze would pierce through them as if seeing straight into their souls, and in that gaze, they would find peace. It was not the peace that came from words, nor the peace that came from understanding. No, this peace was deeper, more profound. It was the peace of knowing that everything was as it should be. The villagers would leave, their hearts lightened, their burdens lifted, and though no words had been exchanged, they knew that something had changed within them. They would speak of him in hushed tones, calling him the silent sage, the one who held the answers to the universe, but never shared them. Some believed he was cursed, others believed he was blessed, but no one truly understood him. Then one day, a stranger arrived in the village. Her name was Alara, a young woman with dark eyes that held secrets, and a past she wore like a cloak. She had traveled far, leaving behind a life that had been too painful to bear. The moment she set foot in the village, the air seemed to change. She felt drawn to the place, as if the land itself had called to her. When she heard whispers of the silent sage, she knew she had to meet him. Alara had been searching for something, though she did not know what. She had been lost for as long as she could remember, haunted by memories she could not escape. She had loved once, deeply, and lost everything in a single moment of betrayal. Since that day, her heart had been closed, her spirit fractured, and she had wandered aimlessly, hoping to find a way back to herself. And now, in this village, with its strange air of mystery, she felt as though something was waiting for her. She found Aiden sitting under the ancient oak, as he always did, his eyes fixed on the horizon. She approached him cautiously, unsure of what to expect. The villagers had spoken of his silence, but she had come with questions, with the need to understand. As she stood before him, she felt a strange sense of calm wash over her. It was as if the world had stopped, and for a moment, nothing existed except the two of them. Aiden did not look at her, nor did he acknowledge her presence. He simply sat unmoving, the silence between them thick and heavy. Alara hesitated for a moment, then spoke, her voice trembling slightly. "I don't know why I'm here," she said softly, her words falling like whispers into the still air. "I thought maybe you could help me. I don't know what I'm searching for. I feel like I'm broken, like a part of me is missing. I don't know how to heal. How do I find peace?" For a long time, there was nothing but the sound of the wind rustling through the leaves, the soft sigh of the earth beneath their feet. Alara waited, her heart pounding in her chest, but Aiden said nothing. He simply stared into the distance, as though lost in some unseen world. And then, unexpectedly, something shifted. It was subtle at first, a soft stirring in the air, but it grew stronger with each passing second. Alara felt a warmth spread through her, a warmth that seemed to come from within, as though the very earth itself was reaching out to her. The ground beneath her feet seemed to hum with life, and in that hum, she heard something, a whisper, a faint murmur that she could not quite understand. She closed her eyes, trying to grasp it, trying to make sense of it, and then, as if the universe had decided to answer her, she understood. It was not a voice that spoke to her, nor was it a vision that appeared before her. No, it was something deeper, something that transcended language and understanding. It was the silence itself, the profound, infinite silence that held all the answers. Aiden had not spoken, yet his presence had conveyed more than any words ever could. The peace she had been searching for was not something to be found in the outside world. It was something that had always been within her, buried beneath layers of pain and fear. And now, for the first time in years, she could feel it, the quiet, steady pulse of her own heart. Tears filled her eyes as the realization washed over her. She had been searching for peace in the wrong places. She had been searching for answers from others, when all along, the answers had been inside her. Aiden's silence had spoken louder than any words ever could. It had shown her the truth she had been too afraid to see. As the wind whispered through the trees, Alara sank to her knees, overwhelmed by the beauty of the moment. She had come to the village seeking answers, but what she had found was far more than she could have ever imagined. In the silence of the heart, she had found healing. In the absence of words, she had found herself. Aiden remained silent, his gaze still fixed on the horizon, but Alara no longer needed him to speak. She understood now. The journey had never been about finding answers from others. It had always been about looking inward, about embracing the silence and listening to the voice that resided within. She rose to her feet, a sense of peace settling over her like a warm blanket. The darkness that had once consumed her heart had lifted, and in its place, there was light. She had found her way home. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the village, Alara turned to leave. But before she could take a step, she heard Aiden's voice. It was soft, barely a whisper, but it carried with it a depth that echoed in her soul. "You were never lost," he said, his words hanging in the air like a delicate thread. "You only needed to remember." Alara looked back at him, her heart full, and smiled. She had found what she had been searching for, not in the world around her, but in the quiet space within. She had found peace, and as she walked away, she knew that she would carry that peace with her always, for it was a part of her now. And so, the silent sage remained, his silence continuing to speak volumes, his wisdom flowing through the village like a river, touching the hearts of all who sought it. And in the stillness of his presence, the villagers learned the most profound lesson of all, that sometimes the greatest answers come not in the form of words, but in the quiet moments between them. As the years passed, Alara would return to the village from time to time, but she never needed to seek out Aiden again. For she had learned the lesson of the silent sage, the lesson that true peace is found not in the world outside, but in the silence within. And in that silence, she had found the greatest truth of all, that sometimes, to truly hear, we must first learn to be still. And so, the village continued to thrive, its mysteries ever present, its secrets hidden in the silence of the earth, waiting for those who were ready to listen. For in the end, it was not the words that mattered, but the spaces between them, the spaces where the heart could speak freely and the soul could find its way home.
whispering echoes